welcome back to the Beacon broadcast. It's been a minute since our last episode, so thank you all for returning. This is going to be episode 089, and it's July 9th, 2025. My enemies call me Kodax, and I'll be your host through this week's broadcast. So what have I been buying? I finally have a new release, a new addition to my collection. This here is Fairy Tail 2. It is developed by Gust, the creators of the Atelier series. It's based on the manga series by Hiro Mashima that was later turned into an anime, also called Fairy Tail. So this is a RPG style game, and this is a game that I was able to purchase for a relatively cheap price. Games from Gust and publisher Koei Tecmo often go out of print, and so I do normally jump on their games a little faster, but I did wait on this one. I just had a feeling it wouldn't be as quite the big seller. So this is the PlayStation 5 version of the game. I don't even have the original Fairy Tail. My understanding is that the first game covers sort of like the first half of the original story of the series, and the second game covers the back half of that story. I've not heard the best or the worst things about this game, just that it's, pretty okay. I guess for fans of the series, it's pretty fun, but for newcomers who maybe don't have much attachment, it might not be the biggest draw. But like I said, I got this for relatively inexpensive of a price, and so I couldn't help but jump on it. I am recovering from a bit of a sinus infection yet again. For some reason, I am salivating like crazy, so if I sound a little wet in the mouth, I apologize. I'm doing my best to not let that infect the sound of the podcast, but it might slip through here and there. As for what I've been playing, I am still enjoying my time with Fantasy Life. Probably should stop talking about it, but like I said previously, I'm just real busy right now, so I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to other games or really like starting something new right now. So yeah, it continues to just be kind of a source of joy when I can log into the game and, tackle some dungeons, farm some crops, defeat some monsters, and, level up my different lives, my different jobs, real quickly. I did, however, since I'm sick, I wasn't at work yesterday, so I did take the time to play through the Honkai Star Rail 3.4 update, the new story that was added to the game. It kind of brings the story forward to a point. So every version of the game, 1.0, 2.0, now 3.0, sort of has an emphasis on a particular world that the crew of the Astral Express is helping in some way or another. So in this update, the kind of story reaches a point where it feels like a midway point, the peak, and now we're gonna, bring it back down and we're gonna fix things because it's just gone wildly and totally out of control in a horrible way up until the ending of the story that was part of this update. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we go from here, how we take things forward, how we fix all the mistakes. So many people have died. Millions and millions of times over and over again, stuck in this sort of like time loop thing going on right now. And so, I'm excited to see how they push this forward and, make all the things better. But I think, there's normally 3.8. So we're going to have 4 more, story expansions before this plot is completely resolved. This is the first time that they are having the entire all 8 patches and a version cycle have basically a major connection to the story. Previously, by usually a 0.3 or a 0.4, the main story has been resolved. But this time, rather than having a bunch of filler, they're kind of stretching it out. And I'd say so far in a pretty good way. Like, there hasn't been any real big disappointments. Sometimes Star Rail can get a little wordy, a little boring, a little gobbledygooky. They recently did introduce the ability to sort of skip dialogue, but when you go to skip it, it gives you a summary of what happened. So if you find yourself kind of tuning out, not really caring about what they're talking about, you can get the summary, learn the important bits, and then, move on to maybe something that's more of your interest in the next sequence or the next scene. It's mostly a lot of story stuff in this new update. There's one small new area where they allow you to do some exploration and things like that. So I kind of enjoyed that it was all focused on the story. Sometimes they add a bunch of new areas to explore, and it can become a lot of work and a little bit overwhelming to check it all out in a reasonable amount of time. Oh man, off mic, I just had a crazy coughing fit. Okay, so this past weekend, I attended Anime Expo in Los Angeles, and while there wasn't a whole lot of gaming-related content, I did want to touch on a couple things. Booth-wise, I just wanted to say how cool it was to see Konami with a huge Silent Hill F activation. They had a couple promo items given out at their booth, nothing too crazy, but still neat to see them actually trying to promote, a big new internally developed game. Hopefully Konami can continue on this path of recovery, and make a comeback in a big way like we all want to see them do. Square Enix also had a significant booth for the first time in a few years and brought Naoki Yoshida, one of the minds behind Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XVI. They brought him as a guest of honor, and he had multiple signing sessions for fans. I was able to get into one of them. One notable signing I was also able to make it into was for Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the anime series tied to one of my favorite games ever, Cyberpunk 2077. The anime is incredible and a perfect introduction to the world of Night City. I really do recommend checking it out if you haven't. The animation quality is just absolutely bonkers, made by Studio Trigger, and it's a gory, beautiful mess that will break your heart 10 times over. At the signing, creator Bartosz Szybor, I'm mispronouncing his name, he's from Poland, and voice actors Emmy Lowe and Zach Aguilar, who voice characters Lucy and David respectively, they were there. Each of them signed their own exclusive pre-printed shikishi, which was branded with their characters, and then Bartosz, his didn't have just, he's not a character in the thing, but it had both Lucy and David on his shikishi. Each of them, we were told they only made 60 of each, and these shikishi might be the thing I'm most excited to take home from the whole show. The shikishi, if you don't know what that is, it's like this fancy Japanese art board. Usually they're blank, and you present one to an artist or a voice actor or something, and they do a fancy sort of calligraphy style signature, or they do a drawing or things like that. And sometimes they're pre-printed, meaning it just kind of gives space for someone to do an autograph. That's how that goes. And they're often used at places like Anime Expo, but it's rare that you get given a pre-printed one unless it's part of some special kind of promotional thing, and that's exactly what these are. And these are not shikishi that are available normally in through other means, so these are 3 very unique promotional items, and I'm really excited to add them to my collection. In just 2 weeks, I will be headed to San Diego Comic-Con. We're just kind of starting to get some details about what's going to be going on there right now. The exhibitor list was put out yesterday. I saw that Pokemon's going to have another big booth again this year, so I'm excited to see what they do. But yeah, still a lot of unknown. We'll see what's going on at San Diego Comic-Con very soon. Alright, I've got one big news story for you today. My voice is given out, so I think that's all I'm going to be able to manage. So there have been some rumblings since mid-June that Microsoft was planning massive layoffs across its Xbox division, and last week they finally pulled the plug on over 9,000 employees. I want to start with the message from Xbox head honcho Phil Spencer that he shared with his staff at Xbox. Today, we are sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization. To position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth areas, we will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness, aka let's start utilizing AI. That's something I added. Out of respect for those impacted today, the specifics of today's notifications and any organizational shifts will be shared by your team leaders in the coming days. I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're seeing currently is based on tough decisions we made previously. AKA, we spent a lot of money on Activision, and now we need to cut costs where we can. We must make choices now for continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate effort on areas with the greatest potential, while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. This focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come. Prioritizing our opportunities is essential, but that does not lessen the significance of this moment. Simply put, we would not be where we are today without the time, energy, and creativity of those whose roles are impacted. These decisions are not a reflection of the talent, creativity, and dedication of the people involved. Our momentum is not accidental. It is the result of years of dedicated effort from our teams. HR is working directly with impacted employees to provide severance plan benefits, including pay, healthcare coverage, and job placement resources to support their transition. Ah yes, my favorite word now that they love to use. Their transition from employed to unemployed. Employees whose roles were eliminated are encouraged to explore open positions across Microsoft Gaming, where their applications will be given priority review. Thank you to everyone who has shaped our culture, our products, and our community. We will move forward with deep appreciation and respect for all who have contributed to this journey. Phil. Wow, what nice words from Phil for a bunch of people who he's kicking to the curb effectively. Doesn't mean anything to those people. These are just hollow words. I don't even know why we bother to get these corporate canned responses at this point. It's not for the staff. They know that these messages get out. It's basically all a PR show to make it look like, oh, they really do care. That's nice. In the wake of this, a number of first-party studios and games across the Xbox portfolio have been affected. Website True Achievements put together a somber list of what got the axe. The Initiative, the studio who had been working on the upcoming Perfect Dark reboot, was completely shuttered with their in-development Perfect Dark game canceled. I was personally very excited from what they showed of the game last year at the Xbox Showcase, and I'm so bummed to see the studio close. Rare, the creators of Donkey Kong Country, Banjo-Kazooie, Sea of Thieves, and the upcoming Everwild, have not quite closed, but their in-development project Everwild was canceled, and key senior staff members have parted ways with the studio, along with an unknown number of developers who were working on the game. It's always sad to see a studio with so rich a history as Rare suffer from a loss like this. I mean, these are the innovators. These are the people who have been defining the games industry for decades and decades, and to cancel their in-development game, that's just completely tragic. Turn 10, the developers behind Forza Motorsport, have lost approximately half the staff at the studio, which may indicate that the Forza Motorsport series may be on its final legs, as the more arcade-like Forza Horizon spin-off continues to outsell the original series. ZeniMax Online Studios, the developers behind The Elder Scrolls Online, were working on a new Destiny-like light MMO codenamed Project Blackbird. That project has been completely shuttered, with most of the staff and leadership who worked on the game departing the studio. Halo Studios, formerly 343 Industries, has also suffered an unknown number of layoffs. Call of Duty developers Raven Software, High Moon, and Sledgehammer Games have all suffered from a number of staff cuts as well. King, the makers of Candy Crush, have suffered a loss of 200 employees, reportedly 10% of their staff. If moneymakers like Candy Crush and Call of Duty are suffering from layoffs, things must be dire at Xbox. Blizzard is ceasing support for their recently released Warcraft Rumble, with at least 100 employees on the team losing their jobs. It's not just Xbox studios feeling the burn. Xbox has also cut off funding to other studios who are doing contract work for them. Romero Games, the game studio founded by Doom and Wolfenstein co-creator John Romero, and his wife were notified that Microsoft would no longer provide them with funding for their in-development game, which now has the whole studio on pause as they attempt to find a new publisher and try to rescue the project and their team from being laid off. As you can see, the situation is quite dire. There are likely other projects and studios who have suffered casualties that we don't even know of. It's hard to be optimistic about the future of Xbox, and the internet seems to agree. I have seen various movements spring up over the last week about gamers canceling their Xbox Game Pass subscriptions and protest, along with people abandoning their Xbox outright. The truth is, Microsoft is a publicly traded company, and investors want to see the numbers continue to go up. So when things aren't going so well, or at least even when they look like they are, the easiest way to make the numbers go up is to reduce overhead by cutting employees. It's worth noting that Microsoft has increased in value by nearly 10% over the last year. Profits continue to climb, yet employees and their families continue to suffer. Capitalism working as intended, I suppose. End transmission.